Welcome back. Well, we're discussing President Bola Tinubu's proposed tax reform bills. And my guest today in the studio, joining me live on set, is the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, to give perspectives into the proposed tax reform bills and other reforms President Tinubu's administration says are necessary. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you.
But first, let me ask you, are you surprised about the interests these tax reform bills are generating, especially the resistance from certain quarters?
Thank you very much. In every civilized society, there is always something that will generate some intense interest. So ours is not an exception. Nigerians are very spirited people. They like to make comments on public issues. They like to talk. But sometimes it was always good to study very carefully an issue before you can make informed comment. Tax reforms are new in this country. For the past 50 years, nobody has made any attempt whatsoever to reform our tax system, in spite of the fact that the laws have become archaic, they're out of date, so there was this need to modernize the tax system and to ensure maximum value for what we can generate for the benefit of our people. I believe that as lovers of democracy and as people who love our country, our comments on such issues should not be driven by sectional or primordial feelings. We should try as much as possible to look at these bills in terms of their intent, in terms of their purpose and meaning, and in terms of their credibility, so that at the end of the day, all of us will once again sit down as Nigerians and celebrate these laws.
But have you listened to the arguments against the bills? We've heard people say it is, and these people who are arguing against the bill now say they have also seen the bill, and they say it is against the interests of their region. That's why they are opposed to it, and they feel like it should be withdrawn.
No, I don't look at it from that way. When you say the bill, people say it's anti a certain section. Maybe I come from that part of that section.
You are also from the north.
From the north, and I am 100% supportive of these bills. These bills follow the normal process before they were finally transmitted to the National Assembly for legislation. People who are arguing against this bill, most of them have not read the bills. These bills were brought in through the FEC, the Executive Council, from there, then very well drafted to the support of the Attorney General, and then finally sent to the National Assembly. The bill is not against any section of this country. Rather, the bill, as the president wants, is pro-North, is pro-poor, is pro-poor. Those who are earning less than 800,000 per annum are exempted from pay. And it is also pro-growth. Those who are the small businesses whose revenues are below 550 million naira will not pay company tax. And education hospitals, and so on, are exempted from VAT, from payment of VAT. So you see, it is, if we say it is pro-poor, that doesn't mean that there are only poor people in the South. We have poor people across the country. So this bill is nationalistic. This bill has nothing to do with any one section of this country. It's not proposed against the North. I am also a Northerner. I've taken time to read some of these bills. Yeah, there is quite a lot that has been proposed in this bill. Some of these issues I have just mentioned. I have spoken to quite a number of notable Northerners, and they're not against this bill. But you see, sometimes we try to play it to the gallery. No, it is against it. We will not accept. In a democracy, no matter how difficult, no matter how tough the problem is, it can always be solved through consensus. We build up consensus to solve problems.
As much as you said, in a democracy, everyone will have their say now.
Yeah.
These people who are having their say against this bill, you are telling me now that they do not speak for the North.
I am saying that people have their own personal agenda. There are others who are attacking the bill purely from the perspective of opposition politics. It is coming from the party in power, and therefore we have to attack it in order to garner support, so to say, garner in bracket for 2027. And that is so. It is all really that they're speaking, well, some of them may claim they're speaking for a particular section, but the truth is, I have also spoken to notable Northerners, and they're not against this bill. Some of them are religious people, leaders. Others are senior citizens of Nigeria from the North. So, my candid advice would be that the final analysis will be going to the National Assembly, and therefore, if they have any comment to make, they can put it down in writing, or whenever Assembly decides to hold public hearing, they can make their views. But to say, no, let us go on protest, it doesn't help the cause or peace at all, and it will never dampen the spirit of those who are supportive of this bill. I don't want us to create this impression that we Northerners are being victimized by the bees. That is not what is in the bees. We have to be careful about this. Every section of this country is going to benefit. If you look at the issue of VAT, where the federal government was taking 15%. In the present arrangement, the federal government has dropped 5% out of 15, added to the state. So that the state governments now have to benefit. Their benefit is about 55%, while the local government would take 35%. So you see, in this arrangement, we have even more local governments in the North. We have more states in the North. So you see, more monies will be going to them as well. So basically, what I'm saying is, let's give the bees a chance. Let's see what comes of it. And I believe in the final analysis, these bees are going to do what? To propel the economy to prosperity and enhance fiscal sustainability.
There's some people have said that there is a lack of communication. Some people have attributed several issues to why there's this growing resistance. But we'll come to talk about that after this short commercial break. We'll continue with our conversation with the Secretary to the Government of the Federation after this quick break. Stay with us.
National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons specially invites the public to the 2024 National Migration Dialogue with the theme Beyond Borders, Celebrating Migrants' Legacy, Protecting Their Rights. Special guest of honor, His Excellency President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. Chairman of the occasion, His Excellency Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima. Other dignitaries include Senate President, Distinguished Senator Godswill Akpabio, Speaker, House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, Senator Shehu Kakalawan, San, Chairman, Senate Committee on Special Duties, Chief Host, Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Professor Lentawe Goshwe Yilwadda, Host, Honorable Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Honorable Tijani Aliyu Ahmed, Keynote Speaker, Professor Mohammed Taufik Ladan. Date 9th December 2024. Venue, State House Banquet Hall, Abuja. Time 10 a.m.
Welcome back. You're still watching Politics on Sunday, and we're discussing President Bola Tinubu's proposed tax reform bills with the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume. Indeed, sir, you agree this is a litmus test for President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. And, you know, before we went on the break, we were talking about what could be the problem why it appears people don't understand the content and purpose of this bill. Is it a lack of communication, or probably the consultation was not wide enough before these bills were sent out?
Well, I don't think there is a lack of communication here. As I said earlier on, that the whole process was followed before the bills came to the Federal Executive Council, and in the course of preparation of these bills, a lot of consultation was also heard, and
maybe not wide enough.
It was, and you know, the president himself is also a senator, you know, and as you know, he's an intense believer. He's a great disciple of democracy, and he wouldn't want to do anything that subverts the system, even if, as you are positing here, that there was, could it be that there is no sufficient consultation? Even if that were the case, we still have the National Assembly. All states are represented in the National Assembly. And so they will also have a say, they will also have an input into this. But basically, when you look at it, you don't need to just say, look, no, this is this. If you read it carefully, you know it is really, really determined to generate more revenue, and a situation where the big guys pay more while the poor pay very little. Just like what the Democrats do in the United States of America. So when we say this is pro-poor, it's very true. Secretary himself said he's not going to tax poverty. He intends to recreate the economy, grow the economy for the benefit of the Nigerian people. So that once this is properly implemented, once these bills become law and they're properly implemented, and the way to implement properly is there, then it also lessens our dependence, over-dependence on oil. Those who are commenting on the bill should say, look, ask them how many of them have read it, which are the sections, which sections do you disagree with, and so on. So they may not be able to tell you. I have respect for people who have dissenting voices, because that's a bane of democracy. People will have to disagree. But sometimes we must also learn to disagree within the context of reality, objective reality, the better for us.
Well, you know, again, people say there's a sense of distrust in government policies, plans, and programs. Take the fuel subsidy removal, for instance. For example, people had expected that, when President Tinubu said fuel subsidy is gone, and with the promise that it's also going to help stimulate economic growth, a lot of people gave the administration that benefit of doubt, but it came with some form of hardship. And now with these tax reform bills, people are saying that it seems maybe once bitten, twice shy. We know what we experienced with the subsidy removal, and this tax bill, people are a little bit cautious about it.
Well, fuel subsidy regime has always been a thorn in the flesh of every government in this country since we returned to participatory democracy in 1999. Every president had toyed with the idea of fuel subsidy removal. The problem again was that it grew exponentially over the years, with every president complaining, but lacking the determination, the courage to remove the subsidy. It became big and uncontrollable, like an Indian cow, nursed for their normal festivals. So I was talking to Professor Orama, one of the best development economists you can find in the world, who is the president of Afrexim Bank. Yeah. He told me that was the best decision President Bola Tinubu took in the oil industry. So I think it came to a point where Nigeria could not pay for the cost of import of petroleum product for Nigeria. Nigeria had to approach him finally, because all the other banks said we had reached our allowable limit. They wouldn't give us any credit line. So he had to step in to do it. So that was the best decision that was taken. I'm not an economist, maybe a motor park economist, so I believe that what Roma and many economists have stated is true. I also have a small team. They're very experienced people. Some of them are young, but very talented. They made comments on this, the best decision as far as this was concerned. How many people were benefiting from that? You see, a few people were benefiting from fuel subsidy. So he took that decision, and at the same time, we are witnessing some expansion in other sectors of the economy. If you look at transportation, for instance, CNG buses are being imported, CNG buses are being produced, and conversion kits are being bought and are being distributed. And those who want to convert from petrol to CNG are free to do so. This will reduce eventually the cost of transportation, and by implication, the cost of food. I recall what one of the companies doing conversion told us as a group, that they converted one vehicle, and from here to Lokoja, from petrol to CNG, it cost them what? Lokoja and back, 5,000 naira. Using petrol, 15,000 naira. So you can see the difference, and the electrical vehicles are coming in. So you see, there are going to be differences. Complex problems can never be solved overnight. You can't. As I said the other time, solutions to complex problems are not as instant as coffee. When we were in secondary school, we used to take coffee, instant coffee, to keep us. We take it, and instantly sleep disappears, and then read. We begin to study. So it was the best decision. The truth is, that decision has unlocked a lot of money for development in the local government and in the states. More monies are going to this area. So it is not just a matter of federal government alone contributing to the question of all the tiers of government coming together to ensure that we have prosperity in the land. Of course, with the federal government giving the direction, taking the lead.
And then you said something about the opposition to this bill, and it appears as if people from the other political parties are seeing this as a political game. You know how politicians do their thing. No matter how good or no matter how good the intention is, they tend to criticize it because it's not from their own political party. But some people have said, I also spoke with somebody on this program who was sitting right there, who said he's not a member of the APC now, but he said that what is surprising to him is that the biggest opposition to this bill are coming from members of the APC. What's going on in your party?
The opposition to the bill is not coming from members of the APC. That would be too sweeping a statement to make. I am also APC. I'm not opposing.
No, maybe the people in the National Assembly that we are seeing speak up against this bill.
Well, not everybody in the National Assembly is speaking up against the bill. I also know of many members of the National Assembly who are very supportive of this bill. And so it's not a question of this. And let's be honest, if you go back to the issue of subsidy removal, when presidential candidates were going around the country campaigning, all of them promised to remove fuel subsidy. If they turn around today and say, no, it is wrong, you can understand the politics behind it. And this particular bill, I believe, will say true because it has so many opportunities for our country.
Let's talk about the prospects now of President Bola Tinubu's economic reforms, which the administration says are necessary. You have just spoken about the subsidy removal. You said, of course, more money now is being shared among states and local government, even though some Nigerians will say that, that is yet to trickle down. They understand that the federal government is sharing more. Maybe they need to hold the states and local governments now more accountable for these monies. But, in the broader picture now, people are beginning to say that it seems not all of these reforms are getting the desired result or the intended purpose, because if you look at even the CNG, the rollout of the CNG, the infrastructure is not still in place. We still have to rely very much on petrol, which pump price now is still very high. Even the coming of the Port Harcourt refinery, it's still not good news for Nigerians.
You see, I tend to differ. If you look at the reforms in the area of financial sector, look at what has happened to the banking industry. First of all, the president brought a very energetic person to take a look at the operations of the CBN and other critical assets, and based on the recommendation that committee of that investigator, 4 different forex windows were closed down by the CBN, and this tax reform you are talking about. So it is not that the reforms are not yielding any result. Today, the naira is exchanging for 1,500 to $1 from 1,700. It was even getting to 1,800. But sometimes we are quick to forget the past. By the time this government came to power, May 29th, 2023, how much did we have in our foreign reserves? How much did we have there? I know what the economist said. I said minus 0. What do we have there today? It's close to 40 billion. If we're not working, if the reforms are not working, we wouldn't be talking about foreign direct investment is coming. And recently, you heard about our re-entry into Eurobond again, after failed attempts, by the past governments. So you see, the things are working, and as I said, it's not something that you get up overnight and everything becomes wuru. That's not it at all. You look at the agri sector. More inputs are being distributed to farmers and on time. Importation of food item has also been stepped up, and there is no duty paid on these imported food items. Gradually we're going to be there. But remember, contract has also been awarded for production of tractors in the country. Gradually, the intention here is to ensure that every household has access to these critical inputs in the field of agric production. So it is not easy to say that. If you say, yes, they say it's not trickling down. Remember what the Supreme Court did recently. There was a judgment that said, yeah, the autonomy of the local government must be respected, and they should have their own money. They should have direct access to their money. It shouldn't go through any other arrangement at the state level. Because if the local government are working maximally and efficiently, some of the problems we have may be a thing of the past, will be a thing of the past. I was once a local government chairman, so administrator. So you know what I'm talking about, know what they can do at that level, reaching out to the poorest people, giving them small jobs to do, employing them, and also knowing who and who can be placed on some stipend every month, you know. Even if you decide to take 100 per ward, and you say every month they have this, the local government will make quite a difference in the governance of at the grassroots level. So the reforms are working, and if you read from these foreign economic journals and so on, you say yes, the reforms are working, and that is why people are also bringing in money to invest in this country. But as I said, it is easy to destroy, but very difficult to rebuild. But when you have someone who is tested, then be rest assured you're going to see a difference. I remember when Bill Clinton was running for the presidency in the U.S., he said he was going to balance the budget in his first term. When he took over, he discovered that the economy had been run aground. So he couldn't do it within the first term. He did it in the second term. So that's why I talk about this issue of being instant as coffee, solutions being instant as coffee. Mm.
You know, you also inaugurated a panel on the implementation of the local government autonomy, and Nigerians are still expecting that report. What should we see that? What would we expect to see in that report on the implementation of this local government autonomy?
Very soon, you will see the report.
What should we expect?
Quite a lot has been done, consultations, and to ensure that implementation is done in a very seamless manner for the benefit of the people of this country.
You said you were once a local government chairman, also once a governor. We have seen some commentaries or what appears to be governors opposed to the implementation of the local government autonomy. What are the governors scared of? You have been on both sides, so you should know.
Well, I don't think that the federal government would be opposed to what the state governments are doing. And by extension, the governors shouldn't be opposed to autonomy for local government. Actually, local governments are democratized, and their democratization is guaranteed by the Constitution. The essence is that once they are freely elected by the people, they are also answerable to the people, and they will be able to use funds available to them for the development of their respective councils. And that is why they are treated as a tier of government, recognized and treated as a tier of government, and they have access to the federation account. I think not all governors are opposed to autonomy of local governments. A few may have some reservation, but basically, yeah, the local government are expected to be autonomous, and so that they will run their affairs and to complement what is taking place at the state level and maybe at the federal level.
So do you think the report your committee will submit will address some of these fears and reservations expressed?
Certainly.
Another report Nigerians expected is the implementation of the Orosaya report. You know, we saw that announcement from the Minister of Information saying that some ministries and agencies will be merged. Those that are seen to have similar functions will be merged, and the cost of governance will be reduced. But this has not really translated into much, despite President Bola Tinubu's commitment to the implementation of these reports.
Policy decisions are not are not implemented sometimes as one outside of the government system would expect. At the end of the day, you have to fine-tune it very well to ensure that there is no duplication, that people do not lose jobs unnecessarily. Of course, you know the impact of that on employment. And at the end of the day, you want to ensure that what is implemented is in the best interest of government, it is in the best interest of the people. We recall that this report by Rosinger was concluded and submitted before the Buhari administration came to power, and I think before Jonathan. It was during this our time that the president decided to take a keen interest in it. So if you say it's taking time, don't forget the time it was also submitted. Mm-hmm. And it is within this time of President Tinubu that action is being taken on it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk politics now. 2027 is still more than 2 years away, but it appears as if the campaign or the build-up to that time is already gaining momentum in the country. We have seen different groups forming alliance and different coalitions coming up now. Some might metamorphose into political parties, and what their aim is to take power from the APC in 2027, especially to unseat President Bola Tinubu in 2027. As a politician now, not as a secretary to the government of the Federation, as a politician who also has been in the game for so long, do you see anybody challenging President Bola Tinubu, giving him or giving the party, the APC, a run for its money in 2027? Because some people are also saying that the APC has frittered away its goodwill. So that's why we are seeing these kind of groups coming up to even attempts to take a shot at the #1 seats.
Well, there was a time we had over 60 political parties. Well, this is democracy and people are entitled to their views. Again, in a democracy, you always have groups springing up and forming alliances, creating movements, and intending to transform them into political parties. The political ball, quite frankly, has started to roll. And there is one group which is headed by the former governor of Kano State. The secretary is from Benue State, Barrister Emmanuel Jime. He was a member of the House of Reps before. People have a right to form alliances, but my candid advice to my people in the North is this: as you form your alliances, okay, fine. Make sure your candidates are also from the South. Why? Because that is one thing that will guarantee our territorial integrity and unity. I recall in 1999 in Kaduna, we met at the invitation of our leaders. When I talk about we, governors-elect on the platform of the PDP in the North, were summoned to Kaduna by our leaders, led by Chief Solomon Lal. He was assisted by Malam Adamu Chiroma. These were very respected people. Others included Abubakar Rimi, Sule Lamido, Isaac Shah, Professor Suleiman Kumo, Abdul Razak, Iroda Musa, Jerry Gana, and a host of others. I think there were a host of others. There were about 20 of them. Now, what was the discussion? Power change, power shift.
Yeah.
They told us, there was volatility in the politics because the South had the view that power had been domiciled in the North for too long, since independence. It was time for power to shift to the South. And they said the annulment of June 12 had complicated the whole thing. Therefore, we must support power shift to the South. We had some reservations as young people, but they proffered very superior argument. Power being in the South, 8 years in the South, 8 in the North, will be alternating. And really, that was what brought sanity to the system. That's number one. Number two, who should be the candidate? It was agreed that Chief Olusegun Obasanjo should be the candidate. That was the decision we took in Kaduna on power shift. I don't think anybody will deviate from that. We went to Jos, and then we elected Obasanjo flag bearer. And that is why when the issue of third term started, some of us opposed it completely because it was not in the spirit of the gentleman's agreement we had in Kaduna. And it wasn't because of anything personal. We believed it was wrong. It was unconstitutional too. And today, this was what I said at the convocation of Nai University, where I was given an honorary doctorate. Appeal to my brothers in the North to wait till 2031 to run for presidential election. It is not yet the time for the North to throw in the heart in the ring. It's not yet the time.
Yeah, from all indications, especially on the side of the People's Democratic Party, it appears as if Alhaji Atiku gets his way, they might field another candidate.
Incidentally, Atiku too, with due respect, was part of that meeting. By that time, he was still governor and also a leader, a noted leader.
And he signed on to that.
Yes. So it's not yet time of the North. This has been my appeal to them. Let us not destroy our country because of personal ambition. If it is the will of God, at 90, you can still be president of this country. If it is not his will, you will never be. But my advice, and this has been consistent, is that let us not rock the boat. Let us allow this power to reside in the North, in the South for 8 years, and from there it will come to the North. To do otherwise, honestly, is to destroy this country. When President Obasanjo was on the throne, and there were attempts, to impeach him, I issued a statement quickly. If you impeach Obasanjo, you impeach Nigeria. Because that wasn't the agreement we had. Impeach him so that the Northerner will take over. No. That would not be correct. And I still maintain my stance. And this is an appeal. Maybe some people don't know what took place in Kaduna. And that brought peace to this country.
So you are not against groups forming alliances. Your position is that whoever they bring forward as a candidate must be from the South and not the North.
Then that candidate will also be defeated by us. Nobody should deceive you that we have lost our goodwill. We haven't. No government would have done better than what we are doing.
Well, I listened to a podcast from a colleague where he was speaking with a member of the All Progressives Congress, and he asked him if the elections were to be conducted today, as it were, does the APC stand a chance of winning? And he expressed his doubts.
That is his personal view. But election was conducted recently in Edo. We won. Election was conducted in Ondo recently. We won.
Maybe the presidential election.
What is presidential election? What is different from this thing? Incidentally, the policies of government are impacting. They have started yielding fruit. All this issue of, okay, I am governor of Ondo State, and then when it comes to presidential election, I will not campaign for my president. I will go and campaign for some other person somewhere to win. It will be very funny. And I have no doubt in my mind that we are going to win, round and square, according to Adamochirom. When he said Abiola won, round and square. So we are going to win again, round and square. Anybody, sometimes somebody will have his own personal problem and they try to visit it on others. Yeah, it's not so. I think it's just a matter of understanding. And before, I know some people may not be happy with certain things, but the party has its own mechanism for resolving some of these problems. You make peace with people, you reconcile and so on. That's all. It's not that we will lose. If we were to lose, we would have started losing government elections, state elections. These are major elections too.
You know, speaking about some people not being happy, you know, I've also listened to some members of your party who feel left out. After campaigning and helping the party win election, you know, they feel left out in the scheme of things. Some of them say, you know, some of these appointments being announced are given to people who were not part of that campaign or who even never believed in President Bola Tinubu's agenda and did not even promote it, but they are now benefiting.
Well, Bill Clinton once said in his book, My Life, I think, he said, look, after the election, the most critical thing you face is what?
Governance.
Assembling a cabinet. How do you balance this? Technocrats and politicians. You need politicians, technocrats and politicians. And I think what our government has been doing is to try to have a mix, technocrats and also politicians. It is not yet late for people to be accommodated. It's coming gradually. The list is coming out in bits.
So you admit that those concerns are genuine?
Not everybody is left out. Obviously, I mean, those who work for Tinubu, President Tinubu, I don't know whether they should be over 500,000 or that. So how many positions are in government to accommodate everybody? We wish everybody would be accommodated, but there are certain policies that also impact on the lives of everybody, whether you work for the President Bola Tinubu or not. You are a Nigerian citizen, and his policies will have some positive effect on you, members of your family, and your community as well. If you look at the road construction, which is going on in the country, whether you're talking about Lagos, Calabar, you're talking about Sokoto to Baghdad, these are major, these are landmark, signature projects. They are going to impact lots of people and communities. So it's not necessarily that you have a position in government. Even if you don't have it today, tomorrow you have it. You know, or your son will have it. I remember my father was a politician, but he didn't go to school. He had a very big title. He was president of the UNBC at the district level. He suffered a lot of deprivation from the ruling party. But, you know, they were battle charged, they were arrested on Trump charges, this, and so on. He never even knew that his son would one day be secretary to the government or governor or permanent secretary. So you see, what you invest today may be for a greater tomorrow. This will be my advice. But They are valued members of our party. We respect them, we respect their views, and we'll continue to do so. And others are also coming up. I remember also somebody who was complaining bitterly of being left out. 2 days later, I signed his letter. Asiwaju has approved for him to be chairman of the board. So you see, sometimes we may complain early, but they have a right to. You see, when you invest in a project, you also expect some dividends. So it will be difficult to leave everybody, to leave people out. We respect them. Those who work for us.
But some people have also said what may work against your party now is what appears to be infighting. All is not well, especially in some sections of the party, at the local government, at the state level. We're hearing this is suspending this person. There are issues in the party that are yet to be settled, including in your state, Benue State. And that might also affect votes for President Bola Tinubu.
Well, I've been in this game for a long time, and there is no way you can have an organization huge like the APC, and you will not have some disagreements. Even PDP, which is a small party, they have their own disagreements.
The PDP people will disagree with you on that.
When
small party.
How many of them are controlling states? And in any case, when people run away from them to come and join us. So it's a small party. They will not disagree. I think they have how many states now? I think they have 14 or 13. And it's a small party. This is the biggest party anyway in Africa so far. So you see, people's attitude to politics depends on their background too. I've been in this game for a long time by the grace of God. I have produced governors. Whether upon taking office they respect George Akume or not, that is their business. But the support of the masses is always with me. And that is why whenever people want to be what they want to be in politics, they come to Akume. If I were that bad, why is it that every time people come to see me, to consult me, to kneel down before me, to even cry, because they want to be this or that?
People's attitude to politics depends on their background.
So, I don't talk much. The masses are always with me, and I think it's a blessing from God. Since 1999. You see, such people are rare.
But as a leader, are you trying to reconcile your party, reconcile the differences within your party in Benue State? To ensure everyone is on the same page. Are you making moves?
Sure, we have to reconcile. It's very important we reconcile. I am one who is always for peace. Anybody who knows me will tell you that, yes, one of my major weaknesses is that I easily forgive people. I forgive because I also have my faults. Maybe if I don't forgive, God wouldn't bless me the way He has done. 2027, they will begin to cry to me again. I'm not kidding. All these talks, I just laugh because some have tested me in the past and they continue to regret. But as I spoke at the burial of one notable son of Benue, he said, look, let's go back to where we started. let's go back to where we started. It's good to be together. The Bible teaches us that, I think, Psalm 133, that when brothers sit down together and they work together, the sky is the limit. And so I believe in that. All this is initial ground. We arrive at amicable solution. All
right, then. We've arrived at the end of our program today. Thank you so much, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, for your time on the program. And our conversation has been on President Bola Tinubu's proposed tax reforms, a litmus test for the Renewed Hope agenda. And that's all on the program this week. You can see this episode again on TVC News YouTube channel. Thank you very much for watching. I am Femi Akonde. See you next time.